Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to tackle a topic that honestly causes a lot of anxiety, but is absolutely life-changing once you master it. Today, our goal is to completely demystify the emergency fund. Specifically, we're talking about how to build a rock-solid financial firewall on a low to middle Indonesian salary. Look, if you've ever felt like saving is a luxury you simply cannot afford, well, this explainer is designed exactly for you. Now, I want you to look right here at this number because it should stop you cold. According to financial surveys, a massive 64% of Indonesians do not have enough savings to cover even a single month of expenses if they were to lose their income tomorrow. Not 6 months, not 3 months, 1 month. That means if you're standing in a room with 10 people right now, 6 of them are literally one bad week away from a complete financial crisis.
Section 1. The 1-month crisis. Rania's story.
And this brilliantly illustrates what that actually looks like in the real world. Let's look at Rania. She's 26 years old, works as a nurse in Surabaya, and makes a steady 4.2 million rupiah a month. By all accounts, she considered herself responsible, hardworking, and pretty careful with her money. But then, 3 months ago, her mother had a sudden medical emergency. The hospital required an upfront deposit of 3.5 million rupiah just to begin treatment. When Rania checked her bank app, she only had 800,000 rupiah. In an absolute panic, she had to borrow the difference from 3 different people, including taking on some really high-interest debt from a pinjol app. It left her drowning in stress while still trying to afford her own daily life.
Now, I want to be super clear about something here. Rania did not fail because she was irresponsible or lazy. Not at all. She failed because nobody ever taught her the true definition of financial safety. Nobody taught her that an emergency fund is a specific amount of money kept in a totally separate but accessible account for one purpose only: genuine emergencies. It's not an investment. It is not money you borrow from yourself for a holiday. It is a literal firewall between your normal life and total disaster.
Section 2. The financial firewall. 3 to 6 months.
So, the standard recommendation across the personal finance world is to save 3 to 6 months of expenses. But notice the vital distinction here. We are talking strictly about non-negotiable survival costs. We're talking rent, basic food, transport to work, water, and electricity. It absolutely does not cover eating out, streaming subscriptions, shopping, or weekend entertainment. Those are lifestyle choices. An emergency fund only covers the absolute essentials so that if you lose your job or face a sudden crisis, you have the most valuable thing in the world: time.
So, the crucial point is figuring out exactly what those survival numbers look like for you. If you're on a monthly salary between 3 and 6 million rupiah, your bare bones monthly survival cost is probably sitting right around 1.5 to 3 million. This means a 3-month emergency fund is roughly 4.5 to 9 million rupiah, and a full 6-month fund is 9 to 18 million. Now, I know staring at those final numbers might feel completely impossible right now. It's a lot of money. But don't worry, we're going to look at a highly concrete plan to get you there.
Section 3. The 3 honest barriers, or why we actually struggle to save.
Before we even touch the math of how to save, we kind of have to let go of any past shame. People struggle to start for 3 very honest, deeply psychological reasons. First, they wait for enough income. People tell themselves, I'll save when I finally earn more. The second is keeping the money in the exact wrong place. Having your savings mixed right into the same exact bank account you use to buy your daily coffee means it will inevitably get spent. And the third is saving blindly without actually knowing your survival number. Without a specific target, saving just feels abstract, endless, and frankly, unrewarding. There's this golden rule you absolutely have to remember. The habit of saving must be built at the income level you have now, not the income level you hope to have later. If you wait until you have a higher salary, you'll almost certainly experience lifestyle inflation. You'll just buy nicer things, eat at slightly nicer places, and that extra income, it's going to be consumed before it ever hits a savings account.
Section 4. The 5-step blueprint, an actionable plan.
Okay, here is a concrete sequence designed to work specifically on a low Indonesian salary. Step 1. Check your last 2 months of bank statements and calculate your bare bones survival number. Step 2. Open a completely new account at a different bank. Step 3, put some money in it today. Step 4, automate your transfers on payday. And Step 5, clearly define what actually counts as an emergency. Let's break down the magic behind a couple of these specific steps. Now, Step 2 requires you to open an account at a different bank. And specifically, listen closely to this, do not get an ATM card for it. You want to create friction. You want it to be genuinely annoying to get this money. And here's a fantastic psychological trick to go with it. physically name the account DanaDarurat or Emergency Only in your phone's banking app. Combining the physical friction of a totally separate bank with a literal warning label makes it mentally so much harder for you to steal from yourself.
For step 3, you need to start today, even if it's literally just with 50,000 rupiah. Why? Because an empty account stays empty. Starting is always the hardest part. But the moment you have a funded account, even with just 50,000 rupiah, you create psychological momentum. That account now exists in the real world, and human nature dictates that you'll instinctively want to protect it and grow it.
Let's move to step 4 and see how this builds with payday transfers. You've got to treat this transfer like a non-negotiable bill. If you use the 60-20-20 rule to manage your budget, you might be able to find 500,000 rupiahs a month to transfer. At that rate, you can hit a fully funded 3-month survival fund in about 9 to 18 months. And hey, even if you can only do 200,000, you're still building a solid 1-month safety net in under a year.
And step 5, this one is vital. The real discipline of an emergency fund isn't actually in the saving, it's in the not spending. You have to clearly separate true emergencies, like a sudden job loss, a medical bill, or fixing the motorbike you absolutely need for work, from fake emergencies. Let me be clear. A flash sale on an e-commerce app is not an emergency. A holiday is not an emergency. Actually, scratch that. Feeling bored is definitely not an emergency. Write your definition down and share it with a friend who's actually going to hold you accountable. Section 5. Surviving the slow build and how to stay motivated.
Look, let's be totally honest with each other here. Building this fund, especially a full 6-month firewall on a salary of 3.5 to 5 million rupiah, is a 1 to 2 year process. It will feel slow. There will be months where it feels incredibly discouraging. So how do you actually survive that emotional fatigue? First, celebrate your milestones. When you hit your first $500,000, acknowledge it. Just, don't celebrate by spending money. Second, whenever you get a windfall, like a THR bonus, a tax refund, or a cash gift, commit to putting 50% of it directly into the emergency fund. It drastically compresses your timeline. And finally, when you want to quit, remember the incredible emotional toll being unprepared took on Rania.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is where Rania is today. She is rebuilding. She opened that separate account at a totally different bank, and she's putting away 300,000 rupiah at a time. Right now, she has 900,000 sitting in there. No, it isn't a full 3 months of expenses yet, but honestly, its mere existence changes absolutely everything about how she sleeps at night.
An emergency fund is arguably the most unsexy topic in all of personal finance. It doesn't make you feel rich. It just kind of sits there being boring month after month. But financial experts often call this green wealth because on the day disaster strikes, and let's be real, it will strike eventually, that boring little account saves your mental health. It saves your relationships, and it gives you the clarity to actually navigate the crisis.
Which leaves us with one final thought. The math works, the steps are crystal clear, and the psychological tricks are right there in your hands. But absolutely none of it matters until you take action. So, will you open that account and transfer your first 50,000 rupiah today? Starting is always the hardest part. Take that step, build your firewall, and start securing your green wealth. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.